The story begins with a couple named John and Evelyn. They are following a young adult girl who is walking home alone from high school. They offer her a ride, and without much hesitation she accepts. However, instead of taking her home, the couple kidnaps her and locks her inside their house. For several days, Evelyn and John torture the girl. John, in particular, assaults her before ultimately killing her and burying her deep in the woods. Meanwhile, the police and the girl's family search for her, unaware that she has already been murdered. John and Evelyn are, in fact, psychopathic serial killers who take pleasure in torturing and killing young women. They have no remorse for their actions, especially John, who is extremely brutal and enjoys inflicting pain on his victims. Elsewhere, we are introduced to a beautiful 20-year-old girl named Vicky. She is struggling with her parents' recent divorce. Vicky has a boyfriend, and the two of them have a unique way of communicating. They sometimes exchange coded messages through letters. After the divorce, Vicky chooses to live with her father, although she visits her mother on weekends. However, she deeply resents her mother and does not approve of her decision to leave her father. One evening, Vicky is at her mother's house and tells her that she plans to go to a party with her friends. Her mother, however, refuses to let her go. Upset, Vicky storms into her room. Nevertheless, she secretly gets dressed and sneaks out of the house to attend the party. As she walks toward the highway, a car approaches from behind. Inside the vehicle are none other than the serial killer couple, John and Evelyn. Seeing Vicky dressed for a party and walking alone, they assume she might be into drugs. They lure her by showing her a sample of marijuana and offer to sell her more. Vicky, who is a habitual user, agrees to buy it. John tells her that he has run out of marijuana at the moment and only has a sample. He convinces her to come to his house, which is nearby, promising to not only give her the marijuana, but also drop her off at the party afterward. Trusting them, Vicky gets into their car. No one sees her leave. They take her to their house, where she notices their dog. Evelyn tells her that John got the dog for her. She also shares that she and John have been together for a long time but had broken up for a while. During that time, Evelyn married another man and had 2 children. However, she later divorced her husband and reunited with John, with whom she now lives. Evelyn then invites Vicky inside for a drink. The two of them start drinking, but Vicky is unaware that her drink has been drugged. Soon, she starts feeling dizzy. Sensing that something is wrong, she tries to leave the room. However, when she reaches the door, she realizes it is locked. Before she can fully grasp the situation, Evelyn and John grab her. They force her onto the bed and tie both of her hands. Vicky screams and struggles, but it is of no use. She is now completely at their mercy. The next morning, Vicky's mother realizes that her daughter is missing and panics. She contacts Vicky's friends, but none of them have any idea where she might be. Meanwhile, John finds Vicky's diary in her purse, revealing everything about her personal life. During this time, Vicky discovers the dark truth about John and Evelyn's relationship. John doesn't actually love Evelyn. He only uses her to lure young women into their trap. Since Evelyn and John appear to be a normal couple, their victims feel safe around them. But in reality, Evelyn is blindly in love with John and supports him despite his cruel nature. Out of fear and devotion, she follows his every command. Later, John briefly checks on Vicky and then leaves. After some time, Evelyn enters the room and finds Vicky crying. Vicky assumes they have kidnapped her for ransom and desperately pleads, "My father will pay you a lot of money. Please let me go." Instead of responding, Evelyn unlocks her handcuffs and takes her to the bathroom. She warns her with a knife, saying that if she tries to escape, she will be killed. As Evelyn leads her to the bathroom, Vicky notices a small window that could be her way out, but Evelyn stays close, preventing any escape attempt. After Vicky finishes bathing, Evelyn gives her clothes and forces her to write a letter to her parents. In the letter, Vicky has to say that she left home because she was tired of her mother and moved to another city. Though unwilling, Vicky has no choice but to comply. Evelyn checks the letter and, once satisfied, keeps it to ensure that Vicky's parents won't go to the police. Meanwhile, outside the house, a man arrives demanding money from John. He had loaned John some cash earlier and now he wants repayment. John, however, asks him to return in a few days. When John comes back inside, he notices Evelyn taking Vicky to the bathroom. He stops her and insists that he will take Vicky instead. Once inside, he locks the door from the inside. As time passes and the door remains shut, Evelyn grows suspicious. She fears that John might be taking advantage of Vicky. Fueled by jealousy, she demands that John open the door. John eventually opens it, and Evelyn, in a desperate attempt to keep John's attention on her, starts kissing him. During this distraction, Vicky sees an opportunity and tries to escape through the bathroom window. However, John's dog notices her and starts barking loudly. Frightened, Vicky abandons the escape attempt and hides inside the bathtub. When John sees the open window, he assumes Vicky has fled. Both he and Evelyn rush outside to search for her. But then John notices that his dog is barking in the direction of the bathroom. Realizing something is off, he rushes back inside. As Vicky carefully tries to sneak out, John catches her. Evelyn quickly joins him, and together they tie Vicky to the bed. Vicky screams for help, causing their neighbor to knock on the door. Evelyn rushes to handle the situation while John struggles to silence Vicky. Evelyn manages to convince the neighbor that everything is fine and sends him away. Afterward, John and Evelyn lock Vicky inside the room once again, ensuring she remains trapped with no way to escape. John scolds Evelyn and instructs her to keep a close watch on Vicky. After that, Evelyn takes the dog outside and secretly places a letter written by Vicky in her mother's mailbox. Meanwhile, Vicky's parents go to the police station to file a missing person report for their daughter. Vicky's mother is convinced that her daughter has been kidnapped. At the station, they notice several posters of other missing girls. However, the police officer dismisses their concerns, saying, "Vicky will come home on her own. Girls her age often go out to party or spend time with their boyfriends." Hearing this, Vicky's mother leaves the station feeling disappointed. Her husband follows her home. Upon reaching home, they find a letter in the mailbox. Vicky's father hands the letter to her mother. After reading it, Vicky's mother refuses to believe that their daughter would leave them voluntarily. Blaming his wife for everything, Vicky's father gets angry and storms out of the house. Meanwhile, John takes advantage of Evelyn's absence and tortures Vicky, subjecting her to unspeakable horrors. Suddenly, Evelyn returns home and notices John walking into another room wearing minimal clothing. Seeing this fills Evelyn with rage. She begins to wonder what she lacks that makes John seek other women instead of her. At that moment, Vicky realizes that if she wants to survive, she must find a way to create a rift between John and Evelyn. When Evelyn comes to check on her, Vicky seizes the opportunity and confesses everything that John has done to her. She tells Evelyn that John is only using her and doesn't truly love her. Vicky further manipulates her by saying that John only gave her the dog so she wouldn't feel the absence of having children. Unfortunately, Vicky's plan backfires. Instead of turning against John, Evelyn begins to believe that he doesn't love her. Consumed by fury, she confronts John and demands, "If you really love me, then kill Vicky." John tries to pacify her by saying that he will kill Vicky in a few days. But Evelyn, in a fit of madness, places a knife against her own throat and threatens, "Kill Vicky right now, or I will end my own life." John, unfazed, responds coldly, "Do whatever you want," knowing full well that Evelyn would never actually harm herself. Evelyn's past was filled with suffering. After her marriage, her husband tormented her, forcing her to leave him and seek refuge with John, bringing along her 2 daughters. In the beginning, John supported her, but later he committed unspeakable acts against her daughters as well. Unable to bear it, both daughters abandoned her. Yet Evelyn chose to ignore everything because of her deep, blind love for John. Now, John manipulates Evelyn once again, convincing her that he never did anything to Vicky. He insists that Vicky is lying to turn Evelyn against him. Falling for his deception, Evelyn believes him and apologizes. John then takes Evelyn to Vicky's room, urging her to participate in the torment. Together they unleash a brutal attack on Vicky, beating her mercilessly. The next day, John digs a hole in the forest where he plans to bury Vicky after killing her. At this point, Vicky is completely broken from the inside, physically and mentally exhausted, and she starts to believe that her death is inevitable. Meanwhile, Vicky's mother refuses to give up. She and her husband visit Vicky's boyfriend to gather more information. She shows him the letter Vicky wrote. Vicky had deliberately written the letter in a coded message so that her boyfriend could understand she was in danger and come to her rescue. As expected, he deciphers the hidden message and realizes that Vicky has been kidnapped. Knowing they don't have much time, they rush to save her. They go straight to the police station to seek help, but the officers don't believe them. and refuse to assist. Left with no choice, they decide to find Vicky themselves using the clues from her letter. However, they don't know which house she is being held in. Back at the house, John orders his dog to stay away from him. When the dog doesn't obey, he kills it. Seeing this, Evelyn gets furious at John. However, as always, John manipulates her again and tells her, "You should be the one to kill Vicky." Evelyn then approaches Vicky and forces her to write a suicide note, making it look like she took her own life. She then hands Vicky a handful of pills, ordering her to take them and die. Just then, there's a knock at the door. It's the loan officer who had come to collect his money. Evelyn quickly covers Vicky's mouth to keep her silent while John answers the door. John tells the loan officer to come back later, and the man leaves. At that moment, John sees a woman outside calling out Vicky's name. It's Vicky's mother. She has arrived with her husband and Vicky's boyfriend. Desperate, Vicky's mother frantically starts knocking on every door, screaming her daughter's name and asking if anyone has seen her. Hearing her mother's cries, Vicky realizes that her family is close, and she gets a final surge of strength to fight for her survival. Even Evelyn starts feeling guilty. Deep down, she too is a mother. And hearing Vicky's mother's cries makes her remember her own children. At that moment, Evelyn has an awakening. If she ever wants to see her children again, she must kill John. He would never let her go back to them. Until now, fear and helplessness had forced her to stay with John, but she could no longer bring herself to take an innocent life. Vicky then says to Evelyn, "Stab me, just end this." She continues, "I'm going to die anyway. If you can't kill me, then let me go." Before Evelyn can react, John suddenly enters and starts strangling Vicky. But this time Evelyn doesn't stand by. She grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs John in the back, attacking him over and over again. Seeing her chance, Vicky runs out of the house as fast as she can. As she escapes, Evelyn appears in front of her, still holding the knife. For a moment, Vicky freezes, thinking Evelyn might attack her, but Evelyn lets her go. Vicky is finally free. Barefoot and injured, she runs as fast as she can toward her mother's car. Just as her mother, devastated by not finding her daughter, is about to drive away, Vicky calls out to her. Hearing her daughter's voice, she turns around and sees Vicky running toward her. Overcome with relief, she slams the brakes, rushes out, and embraces Vicky tightly. And with that, the movie ends. Friends, if you were in Vicky's place, how would you have tried to create a rift between John and Evelyn? Let me know in the comments section. If you watched the video till the end, thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share. For more movie explanations, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until next time, bye-bye.